The laughter echoed through the dimly lit cafe like shards of glass shattering against a fragile heart. Elias Hawthorne, at 86, stood before a circle of young writers, his trembling hands clutching a worn leather notebook, its pages yellowed with the weight of decades. "This," he began, his voice cracking like autumn leaves underfoot, "is my life's poetry, words born from wars forgotten, loves lost, and dreams that refuse to die." But the smirks turned to snickers, then outright guffaws, as a hipster with neon-dyed hair quipped, "Grandpa, that's so last century. Poetry's about TikTok vibes now, not dusty rhymes." Elias felt the sting deeper than any rejection slip he'd ever received. He had wandered into this open mic night on a whim, urged by a flicker of hope that his words might still resonate in a world that had long passed him by. The cafe, nestled in the heart of Brooklyn, was a hub for the city's emerging literati-somethings armed with laptops and lattes, their verses laced with irony and social media slang. Elias, with his tweed jacket frayed at the elbows and shoes polished from another era, was an anachronism, a relic they poked fun at rather than revered. As he shuffled back to his seat, one young woman whispered loudly enough for all to hear, "Did he time travel from the 1950s? Bet his poems rhyme like nursery songs." But Elias didn't retreat into bitterness that night. Instead, he retreated into memory. Back in his cramped apartment overlooking the East River, he sank into his armchair, the notebook open on his lap. The first poem stared back at him. Whispers of the Forgotten, written in 1945 after he returned from the war, his soul scarred by the beaches of Normandy. The words flowed like blood from old wounds. "In the silence of the trenches, where heroes turn to dust, I pen the names of brothers lost, in ink that time can't rust." He had poured his youth into these pages sonnets for his late wife, Margaret, who danced with him under the stars before cancer claimed her, elegies for friends swallowed by the Great Depression, odes to the civil rights marches he joined in the 60s, his voice one among many crying for justice. As the city lights twinkled outside his window, Elias wondered if his life had been a fool's errand. Born in 1939 in a small Iowa town, he had dreamed of being the next Whitman, capturing America's vast soul in verse. But life intervened. The draft, a factory job to support his family, years lost to mundane survival. Poetry became his secret refuge, scribbled in stolen moments on that very notebook, a gift from Margaret on their wedding day. Now, widowed and childless, his only son lost to Vietnam was alone with his words, dismissed by a generation that valued virality over vulnerability. The next morning, Elias decided to fight back, not with anger, but with quiet determination. He dusted off his ancient typewriter and began transcribing the notebook's contents, poem by poem. Each keystroke was a defiance, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. He submitted the collection to the National Literary Award, America's most prestigious honor. On a lark, the deadline was that very day. "What harm could it do?" he muttered, sealing the envelope with hands that shook from age and emotion. Weeks blurred into months, and Elias returned to his routine. Morning walks in the park, where he fed pigeons and recited verses to the wind. Afternoons at the library, losing himself in books that reminded him of his own unfulfilled ambitions. One day, as he browsed the poetry section, a young librarian named Clara approached him. She was in her late 20s, with kind eyes and a tattoo of a quill on her wrist. "I saw you at that open mic," she said softly. "I'm sorry about how they treated you. Your reading. It moved me." Elias looked up, surprised. "You were there?" Amid all that mockery, Clara nodded, her voice laced with empathy. "Poetry isn't about trends, it's about truth. Would you let me read more?" Hesitant at first, Elias shared a few pages from his notebook. Clara's eyes widened as she read, tears forming at the corners. "This is raw, Mr. Hawthorne. It's like holding history in my hands." Their conversation stretched into hours, and for the first in years, Elias felt seen not as an old man, but as a poet. Clara became an unexpected ally, visiting him weekly with coffee and encouragement. She was a budding writer herself, struggling with self-doubt in a digital age that demanded constant output. "Your work reminds me why I started," she confessed one evening. "It's not about likes, it's about legacy." Together, they polished a few poems, but Elias insisted the notebook remain authentic, flaws and all. As winter gripped the city, Elias received a letter that would change everything. His hands trembled as he opened it, an invitation to the National Literary Award ceremony. His notebook, submitted as Echoes from the Attic, had been shortlisted. Disbelief washed over him like a tidal wave. "This can't be," he whispered, but Clara, who was there when he read it, hugged him tightly. "It is, Elias. Your words are finally being heard." The ceremony was held in a grand hall in Washington, D.C., filled with luminaries of the literary world. Elias, dressed in his best suit, musty from disuse, felt like an imposter among the sleek authors and critics. Whispers followed him, "Who's the old guy?" But as the announcements began, tension built like a storm cloud. When the winner was called Echoes from the Attic by Elias Hawthorne, the room fell silent, then erupted in applause. Elias rose slowly, his cane tapping the floor like a heartbeat. On stage, he clutched the award, a golden quill, and faced the audience. "This notebook," he said, his voice steady now, "holds not just my poems, but the souls of those who've shaped me. To the young writers who laughed, thank you. You reminded me that poetry endures beyond mockery." But as he descended the stage, a twist unfolded. Among the crowd was his long-lost granddaughter, Sophia, whom he hadn't seen since she was a child. She had run away at 18, estranged after family tragedies, but news of the award had drawn her back. "Grandpa," she sobbed, embracing him, "I read your poems online after the shortlist. They healed something in me I didn't know was broken." Sophia's presence added layers to Elias's victory. She was a journalist now, covering the event, and her article would later reveal how Elias's words had inspired her own reconciliation with the past. The young writers from the cafe, shamed by the news, sent apologies, one even admitting, "We were wrong. Your poetry taught us humility." Elias returned home a changed man, his notebook now a national treasure. Museums clamored for it, but he kept it close, a reminder that age is no barrier to greatness. In quiet moments, he penned new verses, infused with the joy of redemption. Yet, as spring bloomed, Elias faced a new challenge, the weight of fame. Interviews poured in, and he struggled with the spotlight, yearning for the anonymity of his attic. Clara helped navigate it, but Sophia's bond grew stronger, bridging generations. One evening, as they sat on his balcony, Sophia shared her own poetry, raw, modern, yet echoing his themes. "You've passed the torch, Grandpa," she said. Elias smiled, tears in his eyes. "No, child. We've lit it together." The award's glow lingered like a sunrise after a long night. But for Elias, it brought not just acclaim, but a whirlwind of emotions he hadn't anticipated. Reporters camped outside his apartment, their cameras flashing like fireflies in the dusk, hungry for the story of the octogenarian poet who had risen from obscurity. "How does it feel to be a national sensation at 86? One asked, microphone thrust forward. Elias, leaning on his cane, replied with a wry smile. "Like waking from a dream I never knew I was having, beautiful, but bewildering." Sophia moved in temporarily to help manage the chaos. At 35, she was a force of nature, sharp-witted, tech-savvy, with a mane of curly hair and eyes that mirrored Margaret's. Their reunion had been the twist Elias never saw coming. She had tracked him down after reading an excerpt from Echoes from the Attic in a literary magazine. "Your poem about Grandma," she confessed one night over tea. "It made me remember the good times before Mom died. I ran away because the pain was too much, but your words, they call me home." Together, they sifted through the notebook's deeper layers. Pages Elias had forgotten revealed hidden gems. A cycle of haikus from his time in Japan post-war, capturing cherry blossoms amid ruins. Free verse about the moon landing, blending awe with personal isolation. Sophia digitized them, creating an online archive that went viral, drawing readers from across the globe. Comments flooded in. "This is poetry that heals," one wrote. "In a world of noise, it's a whisper of truth." But fame's double edge cut deep. Elias received fan mail by the sackful, yet among the praise lurked envy. A group of the young writers from the cafe formed an online backlash, posting memes mocking his outdated style. "Boomer poetry wins. Literature's doomed," one tweeted. The cruelty stung, reminding Elias of the initial laughter. Clara, now a close friend, rallied to his defense. Ignore them, she urged during a visit. Your work stands on its own merit. Clara's role evolved into something more profound. She introduced Elias to a writer's workshop she led at the library, where elders and youth mingled. There, he mentored aspiring poets, sharing techniques honed over decades. One session, a twist emerged. A shy teenager named Jamal, with dreadlocks and a stutter, read a rap-infused poem about urban strife. Elias listened intently, then offered, "Your rhythm echoes the beats of my war drums. Blend our worlds." Jamal's eyes lit up, and soon, they collaborated on a hybrid piece. Elias's classic structure fused with Jamal's street vernacular. It became a hit at the workshop, bridging gaps Elias never thought possible. As summer approached, the National Literary Society invited Elias on a book tour. His collection, published hastily after the award, sold out in days. Traveling by train planes terrified him. Elias visited cities he hadn't seen since youth. Chicago's windy streets, San Francisco's foggy hills. In each stop, he read aloud, his voice gaining strength with every applause. Sophia accompanied him, documenting the journey on social media, turning it into a narrative of intergenerational healing. One evening in Boston, during a Q&A, a woman in the audience stood. "Mr. Hawthorne, your poems saved my marriage," she said, voice trembling. "The one about enduring love, it reminded us why we fought." Elias, moved to tears, responded, "Poetry doesn't save. It reflects the saver within us all." The moment went viral, amplifying the human value of his work, reminding society that wisdom ages like fine wine, rich and irreplaceable. Yet, physical frailty crept in. Elias's arthritis flared during travels, and a bout of pneumonia sidelined him in Philadelphia. Lying in the hospital bed, he clutched the notebook, whispering verses to himself. Sophia held his hand. "You're not alone anymore, Grandpa." In that vulnerability, Elias reflected on his life's tapestry, the wars that hardened him, the loves that softened him, the rejections that forged his resilience. Recovering, he returned home with renewed purpose. He started a foundation for elder artists, funded by book royalties, to give voice to the overlooked. Clara joined as director, her own writing flourishing under his influence. Jamal became the first mentee, his poems published in a youth anthology. But another twist loomed. An anonymous letter arrived, claiming the notebook contained plagiarized lines from an obscure 19th-century poet. Scandal threatened to tarnish his legacy. Elias's heart raced. Had memory failed him? Sophia investigated, uncovering it as a hoax from jealous rivals. The revelation cleared his name, strengthening his bond with supporters. As autumn leaves fell, Elias sat in his park, feeding pigeons once more. The laughter from that cafe night seemed distant now, replaced by echoes of applause. He penned a new poem, From Mockery to Muse, celebrating the journey from derision to dignity. Sophia's pregnancy announcement added joy. A great-grandchild on the way, inspired by his tales. "We'll name her Margaret," she said. Elias beamed, the circle of life complete. With the scandal behind him, Elias embraced a quieter phase of fame, focusing on the foundation's growth. The organization, named Timeless Verses, hosted events where seniors shared stories with youth, fostering empathy across ages. Elias's notebook became its symbol, a beacon for those dismissed by time. "Age isn't obsolescence," he told a crowd at the inaugural gala. "It's accumulation of soul." Jamal emerged as a key figure, his collaboration with Elias evolving into a mentorship program. The teen, once lost in foster care, found purpose in poetry. "You saw me when no one else did," Jamal confided during a workshop. Elias patted his shoulder. "We all need seeing, son. Your words do that for others now." Clara's twist deepened. She revealed her own Secreta manuscript inspired by Elias's life, blending fiction with his poems. "It's my tribute," she said, handing him the draft. Reading it, Elias wept. It captured his essence with fresh eyes, highlighting the human struggle against irrelevance. Published later, it became a bestseller, crediting him as co-inspiration. Sophia's belly grew, and family life bloomed. She organized a home reading where Elias recited for friends. Midway, a surprise guest arrived, the hipster from the cafe, neon hair faded, face sheepish. "I was wrong," he admitted. "Your award opened my eyes." Can I learn from you? Elias welcomed him, turning mockery into Mentorship, profound act of forgiveness. Winter brought reflection. Elias revisited Iowa, his birthplace, with Sophia. Standing by his parents' graves, he read aloud from the notebook, voices of the past mingling with the wind. This land shaped me, he murmured. Sophia captured it on video, sharing online to inspire others to honor roots. Back in Brooklyn, health challenges mounted. A fall fractured his hip, confining him to bed. Pain tested his spirit, but visitors kept despair at bay. Jamal read rap poems. Clara brought books. The ex-hipster, now a protege named Alex, shared drafts. Sophia's ultrasound revealed a girl, lifting Elias's mood. During recovery, Elias dictated new poems to Sophia, verses on legacy, fragility, and hope. The notebook lives on through you all, he said. One night, dreaming of Margaret, he awoke inspired, penning eternal echoes. In the twilight of my days, I hear the chorus of tomorrow, young voices carrying old songs, unbroken by sorrow. Spring heralded the baby's birth. Holding little Margaret, Elias felt immortality. She's the next chapter, he whispered. The family gathered, reading from the notebook, weaving generations. But fame's demands persisted. A documentary crew filmed his life, unearthing forgotten photos. Young Elias in uniform, wedding dances with Margaret. The film premiered to acclaim, emphasizing values of perseverance and humility. A final twist, at a foundation event, Elias discovered a lost sibling, a half-brother from his father's first marriage, traced via the publicity. Henry, 78, shared similar poetic leanings. Their reunion added depth, brothers bonding over shared blood and verse. As summer waned, Elias's health stabilized. He hosted a poetry slam mixing elders and youth, Jamal and Alex performing. Laughter filled the air, not mockery, but joy. In quiet moments, Elias marveled at the transformation. From laughed at elder to celebrated sage, his journey underscored human worth beyond age. The notebook, now in a museum display, inspired countless. Yet, Elias knew the story continued. Life's the ultimate poem, he told Sophia. Unfinished, ever-evolving. The foundation thrived, expanding nationally with chapters in major cities. Elias, though frail, attended virtually, his face on screens inspiring participants. Share your echoes, he urged, voice steady despite age. Timeless verses published anthologies, blending old and new voices, proving poetry's timeless bridge. Little Margaret's first words book delighted Elias, who read to her daily from the notebook replicas. Sophia balanced motherhood and journalism, writing articles on elder wisdom. Your story changed lives, Grandpa, she said. Elias nodded, humbled. Jamal's rise was meteoric. His debut collection, mentored by Elias, won a youth award. At the ceremony, Jamal dedicated it to Elias Hawthorne, who taught me poetry's power lies in the heart. Elias, watching online, teared up, the cycle complete. Clara's book tour took her nationwide, always crediting Elias. She visited often, their friendship a anchor. You've given me family, she confessed. Elias smiled. And you've given me hope. Alex, the reformed hipster, evolved into an advocate, organizing anti-ageism campaigns. His apology evolved into action, co-hosting events. From laughter to learning, Elias quipped. Henry's integration added richness. The brothers collaborated on a joint poem cycle, Brotherly Bonds, exploring late-life discoveries. Published, it touched many on family reconciliation. Health scares persisted, a heart flutter sent Elias to hospital. There, he reflected on mortality, penning final stanzas. As the curtain draws, I see not end, but continuum/words whispered into eternity's wind. Sophia read it aloud, strengthening their bond. Discharged, Elias hosted a family gathering. Poems flowed, laughter echoed, human connection at its core. A major documentary sequel focused on the foundation's impact, interviewing beneficiaries. One elder said, Elias showed me my voice matters. Youth added, he bridged our worlds. As fall arrived, Elias received the Presidential Medal of Arts. In D.C., frail but proud, he accepted, speech emphasizing humility. This award is for every overlooked soul. Remember, Greatness blooms in unexpected gardens. Returning home, peace settled. Evenings with Margaret the baby, he felt fulfilled. The initial laughter now a distant memory, replaced by respect. One twilight, Elias sat by the river, notebook in lap. "Thank you," he whispered to the stars. Life's twists Sophia, Clara, Jamal, Alex, Henry had enriched his tale. The story of Elias Hawthorne endures, a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and the enduring human spirit. His words live on, inspiring generations to value every voice, young or old. In the end, the poet who was laughed at became the one who laughed last with joy, not scorn. His old notebook didn't just win an award, it won hearts, proving that true art transcends time.